With a few strokes of the keyboard, it allows us to communicate with people across the globe. With a push or touch of a button, it keeps us engaged and connected. The world now pushes for higher connectivity, faster serving and downloading speeds, from 3G to 4G and now 5G. But what is also true is that with every apparent communication advancement, we are increasingly putting ourselves at imperceptible health risks. Our five senses cannot detect this form of wireless hazards, but our body can. With longer hours using wireless headphones during office meetings, every wireless device that our toddlers or children plays on, any types of microwave oven we use to bake our cakes in, or induction cookers that we use to cook our food. While this enhances our life, we are not realizing how we are exposing ourselves and our loved ones with high levels of radiations.
The World Health Organization says there are some indications of an increased risk of glioma for those who reported the highest 10% of cumulative hours of cell phone use.
The reality is there's a significant increase in glioblastomas. Unfortunately, they're very, very deadly.
I have listed peer-reviewed studies establishing the connection between non-thermal radiofrequency radiation from cell phones and brain cancer known as glioblastoma.
Most cell phones have a warning in them that say to hold the phone away from your body to avoid radio frequency exposure, but most of us don't know about this warning.
The WHO has classified EMF as possibly carcinogenic to humans, Group 2B, a category used when a causal association is considered credible.
See, my friends, radiation can harm the body internally. We need to protect ourselves more than ever to adapt to the new wireless world. Start protecting your own bodies and those around you so we can all live a better and healthier life.
Guys, I just got the chills. Every time I see the video, I just get chills. You know, I think what the video said there was absolutely amazing and eye-opening, because a lot of us, we are aware, but we don't really understand, and we don't have a solution even if we understand. So in today, we're going to solve all that. All right. So introducing, guys, emGuarde's latest patented technology called the emGuarde, and the name itself kind of elaborates on what it does. EM standing for electromagnetic, and guard meaning for guard. All right, so it's a very amazing technology. Most people have not even heard of it, and you guys are probably one of the first few people in your town or even in your district that's ever gotten to know about this technology. All right, so let's get started, guys. Why is it that, oops, let me silence my phone. Okay, now why is it that every single one of us needs an emGuarde in our house ASAP? Well, you see, 30 years ago, which is my age, actually, I'm born in 1994. I'm 30 this year. And 30 years ago, when I was growing up as a kid, I had no exposure to any of these electronic gadgets. Zero. I grew up playing with toy cars. I grew up digging up the soil in my playground. I grew up climbing trees, you know, and that was pretty much my childhood. Now, something has shifted. The shift has happened where you see children nowadays, they're glued to their technology. They're glued to their parents' phones, their parents' iPads, and they're playing games. They're watching YouTube videos, Netflix movies, you name it. All right. But the exposure of children nowadays to these gadgets are like, I can only think 1,000 times more compared to my childhood and even some of you guys. And some of you who are parents, perhaps you can also relate to this. Maybe your children are spending a lot more time on these gadgets, right? But the thing is, when I was growing up, right, my mom always told me, limit the exposure to the computer. That was the first time I ever been exposed to a computer. And mom was like, no, limit yourself. 2 hours a day at most. But I was addicted. I was like, computer, so fun, right? Computer games and everything. But nowadays, parents don't do that. Parents just let their children use their phones, their computers as much as they want. And granted, yes, it is necessary because people today need to know how to use these gadgets to work in the future. Granted, right? But there is a a side effect, or there's a consequence to this as well. All right. Now, what we are talking about is a very different kind of pollution. And now we are very aware of the normal pollutions that is around us, water, air, or even noise. This type of pollution, we call it the electromagnetic radiation pollution, or EMF radiation pollution. Now, the very interesting thing about this pollution, is that it does not in any way affect any of our senses directly. We don't see it, we don't smell it, we don't hear it. Sometimes we don't even feel it. So humans have a very bad habit, because when it does not affect any of our senses, if it does not seem like a threat to any of our senses, we ignore the threat. We choose not to acknowledge it. Maybe we acknowledge it, but we forget about it completely. All right. So what are the sources in your home right now that are actually producing these EMF radiation? Basically, anything that requires electricity to operate. Scary, isn't it? Because if you look at your house, look in your room right now, you may be in your bedroom, your living room, or even your study or your work room, you can at least identify 10 electronic gadgets in your surroundings. And every single one of these gadgets are actually emitting EMF radiation. All right, these are some examples of some of the gadgets that actually do produce this EMF radiation. Right, cell phones, we all have cell phones. We all have laptops and iPads. We all have an air conditioner. In Asia, if you don't have an air conditioner, it's very difficult because it's very hot in Asia. And I'm assuming also in parts of like Australia and certain parts are hotter as well, right? It gets very uncomfortable. But imagine this. Imagine if one day you can actually start seeing radiation. You can start seeing the frequency waves. You can start seeing all these invincible waves. And you walk into your living room, for example, and you'd be like, oh my, would you step in? Would you step into your living room if you could see frequency waves? No way. I wouldn't. I would run away, right? But fortunately, we are unable to see it. But also, we need to be aware that it is present in our surroundings, right? This is the reality. All these frequency waves actually travel around our space. Now, this was something that was covered in the first video I played. This is by World Health Organization, WHO for short. Now, if you listen very carefully to the video, it says that they classified radio frequency electromagnetic fields as possibly carcinogenic to humans. And the carcinogenic group that they categorize it under is called group 2B. Now, quickly, just give a quick Google, right? You can type IARC, this 4 letters here, IARC, group 2B, carcinogenic cigarettes. And you would find there's a report saying that chemicals used to produce cigarettes are actually also in this group. And we all know the chemicals from cigarettes are carcinogenic. So when I see this information as a normal person, when I say normal person, means I don't have a science background, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a scientist, I'm just an accountant, I'm a business guy. But when I see this type of information, I can only think to myself and conclude that being in a room full of EMF radiation is literally being in a room full of secondhand smokes or you inhaling the cigarette itself. Is that scary? Do you guys think that's scary? If you think it's scary, type yes in the chat for me. Guys, this is not what I'm saying. I'm just concluding from the information that I've seen in front of me. Right? Go ahead, Google. Just Google IARC Group 2B carcinogenic cigarettes, and you will see the chemicals used to produce cigarettes are also in that group. Hands down, it scares the living world out of me. All right? Increased risk for glioma, which is a type of brain cancer, and it's associated with our wireless phones, guys. Okay, so now some people will say, how do you tell? How can we identify if in our surroundings there are actually these sort of EMF radiation? Well, we know for a fact the EMF radiation is present. And we know for a fact that EMF radiation is in the form of a frequency wave, right? So the first type of detector is called the RD9300. It is one of our staple detectors. It's a device that we use to prove the existence of these frequencies in our surrounding, right? Now, if you look very carefully at this detector, it's a photo right in front of you. There's actually two dots, and these are for some people, some information if you have gotten your hands on one of these detectors. There are actually two settings right here, a single dot and a double dot, right? Now, a single dot is used to measure AC power. It is used to measure the presence of electric in your gadgets. So if you use the one setting, it only detects electricity. Now, the second setting, the two dot setting, is measuring 3 to 1000 megahertz high frequency electromagnetic noise radiation. So if you have one of these devices, you want to make sure that you're on the right setting, which is the two dots. So what is the detector? This detector is used for two things. It's to measure the electromagnetic noise radiation density from 3 megahertz to 1000 megahertz. And it's also to identify when you are protected by the emGuarde. All right. So let me demonstrate this device very quickly by using a video that my team and I have kind of recorded for you guys. All right. Now, but before I play the video, I just want to kind of show how the device works really quick. So now my emGuarde is unplugged. You don't see a cable with it. I'm going to turn this on. If you see here, it shows a number, and the number will only be up to 4 digits. All right. Now, FCC, which is the Federal Communications Commission in the United States, said that the power density of a frequency or a radiation frequency that is below 200 microwatts per centimeter square is acceptable. Anything above 200, it is a health hazard. So if you look here carefully, there's nothing in front of the ring. There's only my head, right? And it's already beeping at 300 to 500. Can you guys see that? So this is how the detector works. It measures the power density of the radiation frequency. So very quickly, let's take a look at this.
Here we have the RD9300 radiation detector. It has two settings. The one dot setting measures low frequency 50 to 60 Hz. For the emGuarde demo, you want to be using the two dot setting, which measures high frequency of 3 MHz to 1000 MHz. When you turn on the RD, make sure to switch it to a two dot setting before you do your emGuarde demo. Let's take a look at the next clip. Now in front of me, I have the regular devices that I use every single day. Now with the help of a special tool, we're able to find out exactly how much radiation is coming out of these devices. Now notice, anything above 200 is considered high levels of radiation. So let's turn it on. I'm going to put it next to the laptop, and as you can see, the reading is well above 200. These are for your laptops. Now I'm going to come over here to the tablets, which I use every single day. And here we have with me my phone. Let's take a look. Now just imagine the harm you could be doing to your body when you pick up the phone and you start talking on the phone while it's next to your ears. Now, knowing all this, you should definitely consider reducing the usage, especially among children. But let's be real, in the world that we live in today, it is almost impossible to live without these devices. Now, those of you like me who use wireless earpods regularly to speak on the phone or listen to music while you're having a jog, you have to see this. Now, when I flip it open, it shows a reading on the detector. But the moment I put them onto my ears, let's check it out. Take a look at that. The reading coming off while it's being connected to my ears and to my phone is significantly higher. All right. Now, I know that some of you have already decided to reduce the usage of these devices. But let me show you something. Now, in an environment like this, looking peaceful and balanced, however, there are actually still fundamental radiation that lurks around. Introducing emGuarde, a patented technology by Enagic. When turned on, emGuarde harmonizes targeted electromagnetic noise radiation within 1000 MHz, creating a defense zone of 8 meters. Simply place it at a suitable area and plug it into a dedicated 5V 2 to 6A output power source. Now with the emGuarde turned on, let's get back to using my earpods. All right, it's on. And let's take a look. It shows 0. Thanks very much. So when it shows 0 on the radiation detector, you are in the harmonized zone of emGuarde. It is as if you are turning your living environment into a sanctuary.
Do you guys love that video? Amazing, right? Now, if you see Simon, thank him for that. He was the one that made and recorded that video. And I think it's such an amazing video because it really shows the power of the emGuarde as well as how the detector RD9300 works. All right, guys, so this is the emGuarde. This is the solution that we have. The solution to protect our homes and make it a sanctuary for all of us by protecting us from the harms of EMF radiation. Right? It's a very small device. It's not very big. It's about probably the size of my hand. All right. It's very portable. It's very light. And all you need to do is just basically just plug it into a power source, like a power bank if you're on the move. It's best if you put it into a power socket. Okay. Now, the function of the emGuarde, it is basically harmonizing targeted high frequencies electromagnetic noise radiation up to 1000 megahertz. All right. So don't have to worry because some people may have questions. If I have this emGuarde at home, does it stop my cell phone signal? Does it affect my Wi-Fi? The answer is no. That is because your phone and your Wi-Fi signals are well above 1000 megahertz. So we're only talking about 3 megahertz to 1000 megahertz. That is the range that the emGuarde is covering and protecting us. And I'll explain why this range is important for us human beings. Okay, the coverage range of the emGuarde is about 8 meters in diameter. It looks like a sphere, like a force field, right? Like a Star Wars kind of thing. Now, you don't have to necessarily have your emGuarde next to you. I just prefer it to be next to me all the time. But you don't have to. If you have a home and you want to cover most of your sleeping areas or your common areas, you can just find a centralized area and it will pretty much cover up to 8 meters in radius. And yes, it will go through doors, it will go through walls, just that it will slightly affect the range, maybe just a little bit reduced, right? So that is the emGuarde. This is a solution. Now let's talk about the negative health effects of actually exposing our bodies to too much EMF radiation, right? Because we need to know that. We need to know what's actually happening to us when we use our phones too much, or if we, let's say, don't have an environment harmonizer like the emGuarde. You see, this is a report done by EMF Safety Network. It's a survey done in 2019, right? They kind of had 871 participants participate in the survey. And all of them were basically answering questionnaires based off them being exposed to too much EMF. And the common consensus was, in the survey, a lot of people actually had sleep problems. 71% of participants encountered sleep problems. 64% of participants had fatigue because they used too much of these electronic gadgets. Some of them had concentration, memory, or even learning problems, stress and anxiety. And this one, I think, is very relatable to some people. 52% is headaches. Now, how many of you, just quickly type in the chat for me, type 2 in the chat for me. Have you ever used your electronic device for a period of time and suddenly you got a headache or migraine out of nowhere? If this ever happened to you, type 2 in the chat for me, right? Because a lot of my friends who are working in corporate worlds and even in offices, some of them, they complain, hey, I have headaches, I have migraines, I feel very tired all the time. Why do I feel so weak and tired as soon as I enter the office? This survey kind of proves it, all right? Now, this is a very interesting video. Let's take a look at it together. It's by a doctor. I don't really know how to pronounce his name, Dr. Satvinder, right? Let's take a look at what he has to say.
The children's brain, like the hypothalamus, it tends to absorb 1.5 to 2 times more electromagnetic fields than an adult. But if you look at the child's bone marrow, it absorbs an amazing 10 times more electromagnetic radiation than an adult. The brain is much more absorbent, the skull is thinner, and because the relative size is smaller, if I give you the same dosage, your smaller tissue is going to absorb more than the bigger tissue. The first thing you have to do is keep the appliance that's emitting the radiation further apart from you, like handphones. Off all power points when they're not in use. Number 3, you could use electromagnetic field harmonizers, which will balance out the radiation side effects from the appliance.
There we go. Guys, I just wanted to sidetrack a little bit. Can you guys hear me? Am I audible? If I'm audible, type 1 in the chat for me. Yes, okay. Was I speaking too fast just now? Or am I speaking too fast? If I'm speaking too fast, I can slow down. All good? Okay. Yeah, so just now my question was, how many of you, when you have used your phone or your computer for too long, have you gotten a headache? If you have gotten a headache because you've been using your phone or too long, type me in the chat for me. I see some questions. Sarah, does it also run on batteries for traveling? I heard talk on lithium battery. No, the emGuarde is completely batteryless. It does not have any batteries inside. You need to have an external battery source for it. You can use a lithium battery power bank. That's not a problem. Just make sure that the power bank is a good quality one and it also has a high enough power capacity. All right. All right, let's come back into the video that we just... All right, guys, I know there's a lot of questions. I'm going to not answer the questions now. Save your questions, so towards the end, I can answer those questions for you, okay? Now, basically what the doctor was saying is that, yes, the adult human body is capable of absorbing huge amounts of EMF radiation, but even children bone marrow had the tendency to absorb this radiation 10 times more than adults. And that's the reason why if you have a young one in your home right now, you need an emGuarde immediately, because these children that are in your house, they are actually absorbing this EMF radiation 10 times more than they're supposed to. All right, guys, so that's one of the main factors why the emGuarde is necessary in everybody's house, right? Now, let's get into why emGuarde is harmonizing up to 1000 megahertz. Why is it that range? Why is it not more? Why is it below 1000 megahertz? Because based off the FCC's exposure limit, the human body absorbs RF energy at some frequencies more effectively than others. The most restrictive limit occurs in the frequency range of 30 megahertz to 300 megahertz. So what this is by the FCC, by the way, the FCC is telling us that the human body, for some reason, absorbs radio frequency radiation or energies between 30 megahertz to 300 megahertz just very effectively. Right? The reason for that, they further explained, is because certain body organs in our body are functioning within these frequency range. If you take a look here, your normal brain frequency is 72 megahertz. Your liver, your heart, all of these frequencies are among these range. And that's just how our bodies operate, right? Our body just have a very normal range of operating frequencies. So how is all of these frequencies actually affecting our body? How is it reaching our body? let me introduce to you something called the resonance theory, right? Let's take a look at the video on the left of the screen. Now, so the resonance theory, very simple experiment. I'm sure some of you have played with a tuning fork before, right? Probably in high school or even in college or in your science classroom. Basically, what it says is that if two tuning forks are of the same frequency and they're not physically attached to each other, and they may be certain distance from each other, if you give a ring to one of those tuning forks, the frequency can actually travel through space and time and actually affect the other tuning fork on the other side. And when I see this, I can only imagine that if my phones are producing all of these frequencies and it's actually affecting my brain is like basically knocking around like that, right? That's how I think it works. That's the resonance theory. And that's how these radiations are actually affecting you. I mean, you don't have to be standing in front of your aircon. You don't have to have your phone next to you all the time. Even if it's one arm length away, it is still affecting your body, right? So this is the resonance theory. And this is also one of the reasons why the emGuarde was created, to harmonize the frequencies that are harmful to the human body, right? So this is a very interesting detector. It's called the RTL SDR. Now, it's a very basic setup. You can actually buy this setup off Amazon, or if you're from Asia, you can buy from Lazada or Shopee, right? So this setup is basically an antenna that you attach to an Android phone, a Samsung phone if preferred. And what this does, you can actually download an app on your phone, and this antenna picks up the frequency in your surroundings, right? So let's take a look at the video and we'll demonstrate how this device works.
This is called the SDR software, and it's gonna actually detect the electromagnetic interference in this area. So what David is gonna do now, he's going to actually turn on the software. You can download this software on your Android phone. You just have to pay a couple of dollars, you get the software. So I want you guys to see. Just zoom in on the phone, Ben. You can just take a look at this. I don't know if you guys can hear it. So the software is connected to a dongle that connects to an antenna. And the antenna is receiving the interference around this room. It's unbelievable. Take a look at the chart. It is crazy. Absolutely crazy. We have not seen this anywhere else. Okay? So now what we want to find out is, if we have the emGuarde, what can it do to us and what can it do for us? So it's not connected. Now, I'm going to put next to the SDR software. I'm going to turn it on. In 3, 2, 1. Look at the wave spectrum. It's gone down. I'm going to unplug the emGuarde. All right. Take a look at the suppression, guys. Here, take a look at the suppression. Boom. With the emGuarde turned on. If you guys are watching this, I want you guys to bring your emGuarde everywhere you go, especially in cities like this, and make sure you always keep yourself protected. See you guys soon.
So that is the first type of detector that we can use to actually detect the frequencies in our surrounding, to prove the existence of the frequencies that are actually harming us. Now, the second device is also an SDR device, but this device is very unique. You can also buy it off Amazon or even any of the e-commerce websites. It's called the BarJ SDR device, right? The interesting thing about this device is that you don't need an Android phone. All you need is this device, and it's very portable and it's all in one, right? Now, let's take a look at another video that Simon has created on how this BarJ SDR device works.
Hi everyone, today I'm very excited to share with you another great marketing tool that you can use for your emGuarde demo. It's called the BarJ SDR detector, and what I love about this detector is it has a big screen and it's very easy to set up and use. It's not affected by static interference, and it also has a loudspeaker for you to use during an emGuarde demo. You'll know what I'm talking about later on. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce David right there. David, say hi to the camera. Hello. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a before and after emGuarde test using the Bajaj. All right, and I want you to see the difference on the screen. So I'm going to turn on the detector. And once it's turned on, the first thing you can see is this waterfall spectrum that comes down. And what you will notice is I've actually tuned the Bajaj to 72 megahertz because that is the operating frequency of our brain. And you would notice the noise radiation level here via the dB scale. All right. And these are all the data of the noise radiation. So I'm also going to turn on the speaker for you guys to hear. All right, and in the count of 3, David is going to turn on the emGuarde, and I want you guys to see the difference. In 3, 2, 1, go. Take a look at that. All right, so what you would notice is instantly the dB scale noise level has reduced, and the green color wave spectrum has already been cleared to a very dark blue color, which means this area is cleared off of the noise interference. All right, so let's do another test. Let's pull out the emGuarde again, turn it off, and you would see everything comes back instantly. And now with the emGuarde turned on again, you would see instantly the results. So this is simply amazing, right? Now the Bajaj is able to really showcase what the brain and our organs are going through every single day, and it's able to convert something that is invisible into something that we can see and experience. All right, so this is the short demo for the Bajaj SDR detector. All right, so emGuarde aims to create an environment for all of its users into a peaceful and serene environment. All right, so if you want to know where to get the Bajaj SDR detector, it's available on most of the e-com websites. I will put the model name at the end of this video for you guys to go and purchase your detector. Happy emGuarding!
All right, guys. So if you guys want to get hold on yourself for yourself a Bajaj device, it's called Bajaj SDR detector. You can find it on, like Simon says, on most e-commerce platforms. All right. So another more like a key benefit of an emGuarde, as well as one of the side effects of being exposed to too much EMF radiation. Now we're going to dive into something a bit more serious here, because this is actually a research that was done by this doctor. Her name is Dr. Magda Havas. She's a Canadian researcher and a professor, and she spent a lot of time researching about how the body reacts to being exposed to too much electromagnetic pollution. In her words, she called it electro smog. Okay, now she actually tested red blood cells, human red blood cells. She says in a clean EMR environment. What is a clean EMR environment? A clean EMR environment is an environment like the beach, going on a hike in a forest, standing in the middle of a grass field. But all of these, you must not have any phones at all. So my question to every single body in the chat, and respond to me, please. Do you think that your current living room, your current bedroom, your current house, your sanctuary right now, do you think it is a clean EMR environment? Type yes for yes and no for no. Absolutely no. No. No way, right? In our living room right now, unless you have an environment harmonizer like the emGuarde, your environment at this moment of time, it is not a clean EMR environment. Now, if you look very closely in the research, right, she says the red blood cells in a clean EMR environment looks like this. It's free-flowing. They're very separated from each other. And if you look under the microscope, they're actually quite fast-moving as well, right? But she says, when you expose your red blood cells or even your body to 70 minutes, let's say on a computer, or even 10 minutes 10 minutes, guys, on a phone, what happens to the red blood cells is they start to stack. She calls this the Rulux formation, right? And the Rulux formation, if you take a look at it, guys, to me, it looks like a traffic jam in your body. Now, we all know that when you are in a traffic jam, nothing is going anywhere fast. So if your red blood cells, which is supposed to transport oxygen throughout your body, is in a traffic jam, that is the reason why she says when you have the Rulux formation, there is poor circulation in your body, there is low oxygen transport, reduced waste removal, headache, fatigues, and so on and so forth. So the Rulux formation is definitely something that we need to fight against using the emGuarde. Now, the next video, guys, you guys want to pay attention. This video is absolutely amazing. It is actually a video that we recorded ourselves to do the blood test ourselves. All right, let's take a look at it.
So what we can do is, you get on your phone for maybe close to about half an hour, holding it, and then we'll check again and see how does the capillary blood look like.
It looked like my first blood test result was clean, with no signs of blood clotting or blood clumps. But would just 30 minutes of cell phone usage really do any harm at all to my body? I hope not. Let's find out.
Okay, let's have a look. So you can see all the cells now being stacked. See, all of them are, we cannot see those loose cells. You can see most of the cells now all stacked.
Clumped up together, right?
Exactly. Just look at that. The big message is always to try to reduce our exposure. It's almost impossible not to use, but try to be a bit more cautious in the usage.
So the thing is, I know you say it's better to reduce. It's impossible for somebody like me, and I'm sure there's lots of people out there that also need to be holding their phones. So is there anything I can do?
This is the device that can actually help harmonize your electromagnetic frequency wave. And you want to see how it works?
Sure.
Come.
With the environment harmonizer turned on beside me, Dr. Roland and I proceeded to do a third blood test to see just how well this technology supposedly suppresses EMR. Okay, so this looks completely different to the last test, doesn't it?
Yep. Clearly looks different, lesser ruler formation.
There you go, guys. This was a video that we recorded ourselves. We actually got somebody and we actually went to a proper clinic with a certified doctor and a nurse, and we actually did all the testings ourselves. And you can see the results. You can see the results very clearly. Now, very quickly in the chat for me, if you want, which type of blood would you like? Would you like the left or would you like the right? Type for me in the chat, left or right. Definitely the right, guys? I mean, nobody wants a traffic jam, especially in their bodies. Now, if you guys are interested to where to find this video, you can actually find this video on YouTube. You just have to go YouTube, type in Dr. Roland emGuarde, and you'll be able to find this video on YouTube. You can share it among your prospects or even your family to share the awareness of what EMF radiation is truly doing to our human bodies. All right, go ahead and find that video on YouTube. Now,
so what
this is also pretty much the same thing, but it's a different candidate. He is a male in his late 60s. He actually went to a clinic as well to do the test himself, and the same thing has happened to him. The same results. 20 minutes of mobile phone usage before emGuarde, Rulux formation. 20 minutes of mobile phone usage after emGuarde was turned on, and you can see that the Rulux formation has cleared up, right? So how does the emGuarde really work, guys? You see, this report right here is an extremely important report because it identifies what the emGuarde is doing, and it also proves that the emGuarde is truly doing what it says it's doing. Because this report, Enagic Malaysia sent the emGuarde to the University of Science of Malaysia, which is a government-owned science facility in Malaysia, completely third party, and we did the report there. Right? And the two results that showed was that the first result, the emGuarde successfully performed as required at distances of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 meters. So it's not 4 meters, guys. It's more than 4 meters. It's all the way up to 6 meters. And the reason for that is because eNagics just love to under-promise and over-deliver. Very good for us because we know that the distance is slightly further. The second result is that the emGuarde effectively suppresses unwanted electromagnetic noise waves from these frequencies, 35 megahertz to 37, 71 to 73, and 107 megahertz to 109 megahertz. Now, some of you might be asking, why didn't you test all the frequencies? Because there was not enough time, right? When you go for these type of science experiments, you're only given a allotted time, and they can only do the experiment for certain frequencies. And these were the few frequencies that we choose to experiment on, because these frequencies are the closest to our human organs, normal operating frequency. All right. So if you look here, this is also another report, same report, sorry, but this one is very important. It says percentage of suppression. Suppression of what? Because the emGuarde is suppressing these frequencies, am I right? So we're talking about suppression here. If you look carefully, these are all in percentages. The suppressions are all in 99.8, 99.9. The lowest I see is probably 60, 49. Working office, if you look here, it's a working office. This is probably because there's a lot of metal things around, there's a lot of mirrors and everything. But pretty much in a residential space, everything is way above 93%. All right. So this is very important because it proves to us that the suppression is actually happening. So in conclusion, guys, the report says that the emGuarde is truly suppressing all of these frequencies, and the coverage range is up to 6 meters. Now, I don't know if that's a wonderful news for you, but when I see this, it gives me a lot of confidence because I know for a fact that this report proves that the emGuarde truly works, because evidence always beats conversation, right? So the key features of the emGuarde is an easy integration. It's just a very stylish black looking box. All you gotta do is just find the best place to put it and just plug it into a USB-C socket, into a wall socket, and the emGuarde will start protecting as soon as it's turned on. Coverage range, as we know, is not 8 meters, is more than that, up to 12 meters in diameter, 6 meters in radius. It uses a Type-C cable, a USB-C Type-C cable to supply the power to the emGuarde. One device, one big coverage. Basically, it covers multiple rooms, it goes through walls, it goes through doors, and it will cover most of your common spots in your home. Low running costs, guys. Do you know how much it costs to actually operate this device every single month? I'm not going to go through the math, but me and my team, we have calculated how much it costs per kilowatt in Malaysia and this and that. It only costs roughly about 10 cents US dollars to operate this device a month, because the power capacity that it needs is very, very low, right? And guys, no maintenance whatsoever. This device is just plug and play. No maintenance. Just make sure not to drop it, right? Don't drop it, but just put it somewhere safe and secure. No maintenance necessary at all. Now, a few tips on how to keep your emGuarde. Do not, I repeat, do not put your emGuarde in a mess like this, right? To minimize potential interference, it's advisable to keep the emGuarde at a distance of over 0.5 meter from other electronic devices. okay? And you want to put the emGuarde, don't put it on the floor. You want to put it somewhere elevated, maybe on the table or even on a cabinet or even on a shelf. And you want to make sure it's up, because why? It covers left, right, top and bottom. All right, so you want to make sure that your upper floor also is covered. So, but don't put it on the floor, guys, and don't put it near anything metal or even glass. So no glass tables, no metal tables. Preferably, if you want to put it on a metal table, just make sure you put it on the box itself. Okay? Now, where is this effective? Basically anywhere. Home office, living room, work office, restaurant, work room, bedroom, car vehicle, as well as your kids' room as well. Anywhere it is completely safe. There's no harm to the user whatsoever. It only protects